Hello there. This is a book. A book written by the famous author Stephen King. This is Lucas.
Hi, I'm Lucas.
And Lucas is also an author, but not as rich nor famous as the beloved Mr. King.
Well, I wanna be.
Anyway, Lucas here is a fan of how Stephen King writes. He's a fan of the flow of his prose, the characters, and the jarring horrors that have kept him up at night more than once. There is magic in his words that keeps Lucas reading, and whenever an author affects him this way, he obsesses over how that author achieves such a thing.
You know, obsession is a strong word. I think inspired is a better one.
I know how inspired you can be, Lucas.
You know, I feel kinda inspired in crushing you with a hammer.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is how to write like Stephen King. And forgive me, Lucas, I haven't had my coffee yet.
I'm back. Here, I got your coffee.
Thank you, Lucas. So what are we going to start with?
So, let's start with the essence of King's craft, setting an atmosphere. It's not just about where the story happens, it's about transforming those places into characters themselves.
Like giving personality to a sleepy town or a desolate hotel, there are always those.
Yes. So, take Derry from It. It's not just a town, it's a living entity with a dark heart and, a dark heart throbbing with malice beneath its quaint surface.
A town with a heartbeat? Now that's chilling.
And don't get me started on the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. It's a masterclass in making inanimate building a central figure of terror that affects its characters in drastic ways.
So it's about making the setting so vivid, it breathes and bleeds dread.
King's genius lies in his attention to detail. He paints each scene with such vividness that you can almost smell the decay or feel the chill in the air.
I'm suddenly very aware of the temperature here.
It's the blend of the ordinary with the extraordinary that really gets under your skin. A small town, a lonely road, places we know, yet can't trust in King's universe, in his world.
Making the familiar unfamiliar. That's where the real horror lies.
Precisely. And it's not just about setting the scene. King's environments mirror the narrative. A storm isn't just a storm or a bad weather. It's a foreboding or a precursor for doom. To doom.
So the setting doubles as a storytelling device, overflowing with symbolism and foreshadowing.
You got it. And let's not forget the atmosphere. King's writing style in his pacing, word choice, it crafts this enveloping sense of unease that clings to you page after page.
A tangible dread that pulls you deeper into the story.
So in King's realm, the setting is more than a backdrop. It's a catalyst for horror, a reflection of the characters' psyches, and a vital player in the tale. King's other secret weapon, that is the everyday horror. It's like finding out your teddy bear's been plotting against you all along.
Not Mr. Fluffles, but go on, you have my undivided, albeit slightly nervous attention.
Imagine a world where a pet cemetery or an old car isn't just spooky, they're downright terrifying. King finds horror in the cell phone in your hand, the car in your garage, those simple things.
Well, I was planning on sleeping tonight, but who needs that, right?
Yeah, who needs sleep? So it's the thrill of turning the mundane into monstrous. Like Cujo, a family dog goes from man's best friends to its worst nightmare. Makes you side-eye Fido a bit, doesn't it?
Now I have to give my dog the "are you planning to eat me" talk again.
And it's not all about haunted houses or creepy graveyards. King's real playground is the human mind. The Shining isn't just about ghostly hotels. It's about watching a man's grip on reality come undone.
So what you're saying is the scariest monster might just be our own thoughts. And here I was, afraid of clowns.
Speaking of clowns, King shows us that terror can come from anything, even an obsessed fan in misery, which honestly and unfortunately happens in real life. It's the ordinary turned extraordinarily terrifying.
So I'll be giving my book club a very suspicious look from now on, thanks to you.
Well, my pleasure. Remember, in King's universe, the horror lies in the everyday objects and experiences. That's what makes his tales stick with us, because they could happen to anyone, anywhere. Ever wonder what makes Stephen King's stories stick with us long after the last page? It's not just the creeps, the chills, all of those. It's his characters, complex, they're flawed, and they're so relatable. They're you.
They're me.
King's characters are like onions, layers upon layers of contradictions and complexities. Again, take Jack Torrance from The Shining, a man in battle royale with his demons, or Andy in Shawshank Redemption. He's the embodiment of hope amidst despair.
Onions, you say? I was hoping for less crying today, but go on.
These characters, they're more than just pieces in King's chessboard. They're living, breathing souls. Jack's not just some guy with an axe. He's a dad, a husband, struggling and unfortunately failing. It's raw and it's real.
So you're saying King's horror is more than just scare tactics? It's a deep dive into the human psyche?
Exactly. King delves into their fears, hopes, and dreams. It's like he's got a backstage pass to the human mind, showing us the internal monologues that drive their decisions. Usually writers do this a lot, but sometimes they don't do it well.
Sounds like a season pass to the emotional roller coaster.
But it's not all doom and gloom in King's universe or King's characters. They face the real world challenges, the real problems like family drama, personal failures, you name it. Then, bam, add the supernatural element to it, and it's a whole new ballgame.
A supernatural twist to everyday woes? Sign me up for that therapy session.
Plus, King's universe is a melting pot of diversity. Each characters with their unique voice and perspective adds a new flavor to the story stew. Basically, in King's realm, characters are the true stars of the show. They're not just surviving horror, they're living through it with all the messiness of real life.
Then King's tales are a masterclass in humanity, with a side of horror.
You got it. That's what makes his stories so magnetic. We see bits of ourselves in his characters, navigating through their nightmares.
Got it. Characters first, horrors second.
King's worlds, they are a reminder that the battle between good and evil doesn't have to be a high contrast photo. It's more like a guardian, blending darkness and light in the most unexpected places.
A gradient, you say? So more shades of gray than stark black and white.
Precisely. King teaches us that evil isn't always an external monster. Sometimes it's woven into the fabric of our daily desires and fears, making it all the more relatable and equally terrifying, of course.
So a villain might be someone as ordinary as the neighbor next door, not just a creature lurking under the bed.
Yes. And it's not just about crafting villains. King shows that the heroes aren't always knights in shining armor. Their goodness shines brightest through their flaws, through their struggles.
Flawed heroes, huh? Sounds like most of us could qualify.
That's the beauty of it. King's stories are a call to explore the extraordinary within the ordinary, to see the epic moral battles in our everyday lives.
Turning the mundane into the monumental. I like the sound of that.
It's about embracing the complexity of our world. Good and evil, light and darkness, they coexist, intertwine in the stories we tell and the lives we lead. Supernatural isn't just for scares. King uses it as a tool, a way to enrich stories and deepen themes, making his tales resonate within us on a profound level.
King's supernatural elements are more than just I don't know, window dressing?
Absolutely. Take Carrie, for example. Her telekinetic powers aren't just cool party tricks, they are a vivid symbol of teenage turmoil and the crushing weight of societal rejection.
You're saying these supernatural elements are metaphorical magnifying glasses, focusing on real-life dramas?
King's genius is in how he weaves the supernatural into the fabric of everyday lives. Just like what I said earlier, the everyday horror. It's not just thrown in for shock value, these fantastical things. It's integrated so seamlessly that it amplifies the emotional stakes and themes.
Making the extraordinary a natural part of the narrative landscape. That sounds like a tightrope walk.
It is, but King walks it like a pro, a master. As was said before, again, his stories are set in such grounded, ordinary realities that when supernatural hits, it's like a bolt from the blue, startling yet somehow entirely believable.
Using the familiar to anchor the fantastical. That's a powerful storytelling strategy.
And there's more. King often mirrors his characters' internal battles with external supernatural forces, like again in The Shining, where the hotel's malevolent presence echoes Jack's inner demons.
So the ghosts are not just haunting the halls, they're haunting the characters' minds, a psychological double whammy.
Yep, basically. This approach makes the supernatural profoundly meaningful, turning it into a lens that magnifies the human condition. You know, if there's one thing Stephen King can teach us about storytelling, it's the art of pacing and tension. It's like he's conducting an orchestra with his prose, with every beat, every pause, designed to keep us on the edge of our seats.
Tell us, how does King master this symphony of suspense?
So, King starts, I noticed, with slow burns. He sets the stage with rich characters first, their developments, and deep dive into the setting. It's basically the calm before the storm, letting us get cozy with the story before the real chills even happen.
He lulls us into a false sense of security, only to pull the rug out from under us.
He usually do, and when he decides to ramp up the tension, it's like a roller coaster taking off. He layers the suspense, turning the screw tighter with each chapter until we're practically biting our nails off.
Sounds like a thrilling ride, but how does he keep us strapped in?
I think it's all in their rhythm. King mixes short, sharp sentences with longer, more descriptive ones. This dance of words keeps our brains engaged, I think, mirroring the ebb and flow of the story and the suspense.
A literary tango of tension, then. And what about the pauses, the moments of calm?
Those are crucial. After taking us to the heights of tension, King knows when to give us a moment to breathe, a brief respite before diving back into the fray. It makes the peaks of suspense even more exhilarating.
So it's the quiet moments that make the loud ones stand out.
Yes. It's this mastery of pacing and tension that makes King's story so captivating. For us writers, it's a lesson in keeping our readers hooked, playing with the tempo of our narratives to create a gripping tale. It's through his characters' mouths that King paints a world so vivid you can almost hear the main accent through the pages.
Lucas, our verbal virtuoso, please enlighten us on King's symphony of spoken words.
King's dialogue does more than just talk. It breathes life into his characters. He captures the essence of real speech with all its flaws, beauty, making every conversation in his stories a window into the soul.
It's like eavesdropping on reality, then?
Precisely. He tunes into the regional dialects, the slangs, and even the stumbles that we all have. It's the authenticity that makes his characters leap off the page.
A true linguist of the layman. But how does he weave dialogue into the tapestry of tension and plot?
So that's where the magic happens. King uses dialogue as a chess piece, moving the plot and building suspense. Conversations might foreshadow doom or unravel a character's inner conflict, all while sounding as natural as your neighbor chatting over the fence.
So words as both weapons and windows. Fascinating.
And let's not forget about the pacing. King's He varies the tempo of the dialogues from rapid fire exchanges that raise your heart to reflective monologues that give you pause, literally.
I imagine that keeps readers on their toes, hanging on every word.
And for us writers, again, it's another lesson in the power of voice, letting your characters speak true to themselves and use their own words to deepen the world that you're building.
As we wrap up our deep dive into the craft of Stephen King, it's been an adventure filled with discovery, from unraveling the threads of character depth to mastering the ebb and flow of narrative tension and the art of dialogue. Lucas, our literary guide, it's been a journey rich with insights. What final thoughts do you have for our fellow explorers?
To every King fan and budding writer out there, remember that each page of King's work is a lesson in storytelling. Whether you're revisiting his classics or cracking open one of his tales for the very first time, there's always something new to learn.
And for those who've journeyed with us, what message do you have?
I'm grateful to have shared this exploration with you. If you found value in our journey, considering liking this video, and please subscribe and join the conversation if you have thoughts to share.
And as we part ways,
I urge you to keep writing, keep dreaming, and let the stories you craft today be the inspiration for tomorrow's storytellers. I mean, who knows? The next generation might look at your tales just as we've looked to King's.
a heartfelt thank you to everyone who joined us. Don't forget to follow for more insights into the world of writing and storytelling. Until we meet again.
And I will see you in the next one.